All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Blab TV. I'm your host, DJ Blab. And before we get started, I just want to tell everyone to make sure you go out there and subscribe to that membership. To watch some of the newer content, you have to have a membership. Well, before we get into today's episode, I just want to introduce my guest. He basically needs no introduction. We have the extravagant Pimpin Nail. Now, you've been in the game for quite some time. About how long has it been that you've been acting?
Look at here, my cuticle. I've been pimping since the placenta, you dig? When the doctor pulled me out, my mama said I slapped a nurse on the butt, and she cried. You smell what I'm scratching? My cuticle.
All right, now, what was it like growing up as a kid that led you deep into the pimp game? Like, how'd you get started with all this?
Growing up a legend was tough. I was misunderstood as a young pinky nail. I always confused my parents because every Christmas I would ask them niggas for dolls.
Dolls, Nail?
Yeah, nigga, dolls. Did I stutter, motherfucker? You want to get scratched in this hole?
All right,
Well,
Nail,
let me
relax
know.
a bit.
Anyway, I asked for dolls so I could practice my pimping. Oh, I had white dolls, black dolls, short, nappy-headed dolls, Asian dolls, Arab dolls. I was internationally practiced pimping, nigga.
You can't be serious.
I would line them dolls up right outside my neighborhood, and the kids in the neighborhood would be like, dang, there's some bad dolls. And they would pick them up, and as soon as they set them down, I would run up and be like, you got to pay to play. And I ain't out here trying to lead none of these whole dolls astray. At the time, my nails were small, so I just hold it up and just threaten to scratch a nigga, you heard? Eventually, they would pay. You sniff what I'm scratching? My cuticle.
Now, as much as I know you're capable of, I'm finding this really hard to believe. This story is 100% true, right?
Does a cat have claws, nigga? Does horse dookie stink?
All right, relax.
Okay then. Smell what I'm scratching in, player. Smell what I'm scratching.
Now, I've heard some really interesting names for pimps, and yours is probably at the top. How'd you come about something like Pimpin Nail?
When I was 18 years old, I had a couple of them things on every corner of downtown LA. And one day, a trick came up short on paying one of my employees. You sniff what I'm scratching? And I had just left the nail salon, as I always do on Thursdays, and Kim Yang had my pinky nail sharp as a woodpecker's beak. You itch what I'm scratching? So I walked up to that mother sucker and swiped his face like Zorro to the white meat. He held his face. I looked him dead in his eyes, and I said, when you mess with Nail, you get scratched. And ever since then, my employees call me Nail, and everyone that know me, they call me Nail too. So I roll with it. You sniff what I'm scratching? My cuticle.
All right. Nail, thank you so much for a very much needed and extravagant interview. I'm glad I was able to have you on my show. And hey, I want to wish you the best.
This beat right here is super duper. Words in my mouth, blast them out like a Ruger. This is not a game, Mario, King Koopa. Ice cream you out the heat so the most high can scoop you. Live in waterfall, you might drown without a scuba.